First and foremost, I want to say thank you to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. If it wasn't for him, this wouldn't be possible. Low Nose Boxing. Hit the like button, share the video, leave a comment, subscribe. I want to talk about the importance of consistency. Consistency means a lot. In the pound for pound rankings, all-time rankings, it's all good to have accolades. It's all good to have a great resume, but it's very important to have consistency. Remember, boxing is not a sport where guys play every day. In fact, boxing, these athletes, these gladiators do not play at all. They fight about maybe 2 times a year on the highest level, world champions, right? So I want to talk about certain fighters and certain fights that took place this summer so far, between the month of June and so far July. You already know how everybody says the Fantastic Five or the Fabulous Four, you know, Teofimo Lopez, Gervanta Davis, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, right? And then you can add in other players like Vasil Lomachenko, Subriel Matias, right? Because between 135 and 140, Pitbull Cruz as well. Those are the two most highly skilled, highly competitive, deepest divisions in boxing, 135 and 140. So between June and early July, we had some important fights. We had Teofimo Lopez taking on Steve Claggett, right? We had Shakur Stevenson, who just fought this Saturday. We had Gervanta Davis, who took on Frank Martin. And we had Subriel Matias, who took on Liam Parrell. Whenever you have those type of fighters that are somewhat contemporaries fighting around the same time, it's very interesting because you want to see which fighter is going to outshine the rest. Which fighter is going to have the best performance. And make no mistake about it, Gervanta Davis outshined the competition. He outshined Teofimo Lopez, he outshined Subriel Matias, and he outshined Shakur Stevenson. And I already know what y'all gonna say. Oh, but this is the Teofimo channel. But first of all, I'm a boxing channel, not a Teofimo channel. Teofimo Lopez is my favorite fighter, hands down, beyond a shadow of a doubt. But I gotta keep it a beam. I'm not one of these biased fanboys that's just gonna sit here and lie and say, hey, my fighter beats everybody, my fighter had the best performance. No. Gervonta Tank Davis deserves the credit for what he did against Frank Martin. If you look at the larger picture, overall, Gervonta Davis may have had the hardest challenger out of all of those guys that fought. Shakur Stevenson fought main man that just fought against Frank Martin that lost a competitive decision, right? Teofimo Lopez took on a underrated veteran in Steve Claggett, who had 7 losses, but still was coming in with a lot of momentum, right? Pretty good fighter. And we had Subriel Matias taking on Liam Parrell. In fact, it's pretty safe to say that between Liam Parrell and Frank Martin, those were the two best B-sides. Frank Martin was a highly skilled, slick black fighter, undefeated with a decent win under his belt. Liam Parrell was an still undefeated fighter with 2 solid wins under his belt. But going into this fight, right, there were questions about Gervonta Davis. Will he be able to cut the ring off? Because we've seen Gervonta Davis take on guys that stand in front of him. I myself was one of the detractors that said Gervonta Davis has been looking more spectacular than Teofimo Lopez because he's been fighting with guys that stand in front of him, right? We can't say that no more. Gervonta Davis took on a fighter that had movement, that was using movement, a southpaw that was boxing, had nice long reach. And Gervonta Davis did something that a lot of fighters today do not know how to do, and that's cut the ring off. Cutting the ring off is becoming a lost art. It's either you know how to cut the ring off or you know how to be a counterpuncher, right? Shakur Stevenson just had his performance. Don't get me wrong, these guys all had good performances with the exception of Subriel Matias, who laid an egg. one of my favorite fighters as well, but he laid an egg in Puerto Rico. He lost to Liam Parrell, right? Shout out to Subaru Matias. Shout out to Liam Parrell, but Subaru Matias lost that fight. He wasn't supposed to. Let's talk about Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson looks sharp. His boxing ability, his defense definitely looks sharp. But Shakur Stevenson did not keep his feet on the gas. Shakur Stevenson did enough to dominate and win the fight, but he did not look special. He did not look spectacular. And when the guy was moving around, Shakur Stevenson was just following him around the ring. So it's pretty much safe to say that what I said before in the past regarding the Fantastic Four, most of those guys don't know how to cut the ring off. We seen Teofimo Lopez struggle twice against guys that move when he fought Sandor Martin and Jermaine Ortiz. Make no mistake about it, Teofimo Lopez clearly won those fights in my eyes, despite what the haters say. But he did not look good doing it because he wasn't effectively cutting off the ring. So I always say, in defense of Teofimo Lopez, we never seen Gervanta, we never seen Devin Haney, we never seen Shakur fight guys that move. For all we know, those guys don't know how to cut the ring off neither. And Shakur Stevenson, lo and behold, showed that he does not cut the ring off effectively. And it's kind of odd because Shakur Stevenson is an Olympian, and I'm pretty sure he learned how to cut the ring off during his upbringing in the game. But the problem is a lot of fighters tend to focus on something that they enjoy more, like counterpunching, defense. They don't instill enough drills in cutting the ring off to the point where it becomes muscle memory, right? I'm pretty sure Teofimo Lopez was practicing how to cut the ring off earlier while he was coming up as well. But what happened is these guys focus more on counterpunching, fighting off the back foot, looking slick, to the point where they forgot how to cut the ring off. That's a basic fundamental that every fighter should have, which leads me to why I say Gervonta Davis has outshined his competition. It doesn't necessarily mean that Gervonta Davis would beat everybody within his group, between him, Tio, Tank, Devin, Shakur, all them guys. It's not a given, because on any given night, anybody on their A game can beat somebody if that other fighter is slipping. However, Gervonta Davis has shown that he is the most fundamentally sound fighter from that group. Gervonta Davis showed that he knows how to cut the ring off, and I already know what the detractors are going to say. Oh, but he was behind on the scorecards. He was getting hit coming forward. That's what happens sometimes. You're getting hit sometimes a little bit while you're coming forward, but he downloaded the data, and at the end of the day, Gervonta Davis caught up to Frank Martin and got him up out of there. So it's pretty much safe to say that if Gervonta Davis were facing a Jermaine Ortiz who went 12 rounds with Tio, or a Sandor Martin who went 12 rounds with Tio, I'm confident in saying that Gervonta Davis would walk those guys down, cut the ring off effectively, and get them up out of there. Gervonta Davis has outshined his contemporaries. Now, Teofimo Lopez is the captain of this new generation, because he is the first one that stepped up and started fighting and defeating elite level fighters, pound for pound type fighters. He was the first one that stepped up and became a unified and then an undisputed champion, regardless to what the detractors and what the politics of boxing did. Teofimo Lopez became undisputed before Devin Haney, became unified before all those guys. But when it comes down to it, Gervonta Davis is the top dog. Gervonta Davis is the one to beat at the end of the day. He outperformed his contemporaries. Does it mean that every time all those guys fight around the same time that he's going to outperform them? No, it doesn't mean that. If I can recall back in December 2019, right, Gervonta Davis took on Yuriorkis Gamboa around that time, and he knocked Gamboa out in the 12th round. A lot of people say that Gervonta Davis kind of struggled in terms of putting out a guy that was past his prime, with a damaged Achilles heel, who was known for getting knocked down. And that same month, Teofimo Lopez knocked out Richard Comey in 2 rounds. That's a month where Teofimo Lopez outshined one of his contemporaries in Gervonta Davis. But as of right now, Gervonta Davis has been consistently outperforming his contemporaries. So this video is basically just to give Gervanta Davis his flowers. Shout out to all these tremendous fighters. Boxing is looking real good. Hopefully we get these fights. Gervanta Davis might be fighting Lomachenko next. He might be fighting Shakur Stevenson next. But with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Hit the like button, share the video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Low Nose Boxing, because Low Nose Boxing. I'm out.